Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The USC commitment sweatshirt comes back on second time in the last 24 hours, going back to the 2025 class. Three-star athlete Steve Miller flipping his commitment from Mississippi State to USC. Diving into the film of Steve Miller late last night as you kind of heard the buzz that this could be a flip target. I think Steve Miller is a fascinating prospect that plays two ways at the high school ranks, plays quarterback and defensive back. You're betting on some traits here. Like at 6'2", 185 pounds, quite frankly, looks closer to 6'3" on the film than 6'2". This is a long defensive back that could play cornerback or safety at the collegiate level. And I think most importantly, fits exactly what D'Anton Lynn is looking for in the defensive backfield. I mean, since the minute D'Anton Lynn has stepped foot on USC's campus, he's gone to the transfer portal. He's gone to the high school ranks. What does he want in his defensive backs? He wants long, physical athletes. Steve Miller's that kind of guy. And you dive into the defensive film and say, one, the kid's a ball hawk, 6 interceptions his junior year. He finds the football, plays the football really well in the air, but I think most notably comes up and is really physical at the point of attack. There's a culture change that's going on within this USC defense. Steve Miller is one of those guys that I think fits what USC wants on the defensive side of the football. And I think one side note here is it's nice to see these kids at the high school ranks still buying into what Lincoln Riley and USC are doing. Because you look at USC, and it's not necessarily been the season that a lot of USC fans have hoped for in 2024. 3 losses that are just excruciating, quite frankly. Could have won all 3 of those games. This USC team is close, hasn't been able to make it happen in the fourth quarter of some football games. That being said, like these kids at the high school ranks are looking at this program and saying, hey, I still believe in where Lincoln Riley's taken this program. I think that matters. And Steve Miller, a really good example of that. Now, I think what's interesting about this take for USC is, who also was on a visit from him? His high school teammate, 4-star defensive lineman Kevin Wynn in the 2025 class as well. This kid is one of my favorite defensive linemen in the 2025 cycle. Now, their high school teammates down in Georgia, Kevin Wynn and Steve Miller, were on campus watching that Penn State game. Look, Florida State, they are dropping their commitments like flies all of a sudden. USC, this is a premier target for USC in the 2025 cycle. This is exactly what USC needs on the inside of the defensive line. So you land Steve Miller, maybe that can kind of get you in a little bit more with 4-star defensive lineman Kevin. We'll kind of monitor that as it plays out. But back to Steve Miller now. Before we get into some of the film, just want to, quickly and as always say to the USC fans, I can't thank you guys enough. And I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. Y'all have rocked with the boys, the highs, the lows of the 2024 season. You guys know I love talking this program. I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Steve Miller. D'Anton Lynn kind of guy. And I wonder what he's going to play at the collegiate level. He's definitely going to be a defensive back. Now the question is, can he play safety? Can he play corner? I personally like him as a safety because I think he's one of those safeties that can do it all. I think he can come into the box and give you some of that run support like Kamari Ramsey has done a phenomenal job of to start 2024. I think he can operate in man coverage with some of that cornerback background, but I think most importantly, he can deal with some of those bigger pass catchers that you're going to see in the Big Ten. You look at what went wrong for USC on Saturday afternoon, it was tight end Tyler Warren. Steve Miller at 6'2", 190 pounds, probably plays around 200 pounds once he gets to USC. He's one of those bodies that you can kind of use as a defensive chess piece and ask him to do a lot of different things, whether that's coming into the box and stopping the run, whether that's working on tight ends up the seam, or playing the single high safety role, which he, on the film, certainly could play as well. And so Steve Miller, to me, is a defensive chess piece. And so I kind of tend to lean safety. We'll see what Doug Belk, D'Anton Lynn decide to do with Steve Miller. Now, you get into the film. The film's really fun. He's got a really, really good sense for what's going on the football field. And I think that kind of goes to he plays quarterback. And so he has a little bit of a higher IQ than a lot of other defensive backs here playing on the boundary. Instincts, that's the first thing you want to talk about, right? He sees this screen coming from a mile away, eyes on the quarterback, breaks on the football, taking it the other way. Very, very heady defensive back, which again, makes me lean safety because he knows what's going on. And you can have this kid play that single high roll, read the quarterback's eyes, look at the route trees that are developing in front of him, and go make plays. So I lean safety for Steve Miller, but you continue to work through the film. There's a lot of things that you like, right? Coming up, being physical and run support. Steve Miller can do that. That is something that has, not this year, but you go back to 2023, the defensive backs didn't tackle worth anything for USC. Now you're seeing it much better this year with guys like Kamari Ramsey. I thought Zion Branch is tackling really well. You continue to work through the film, physicality, ball skills, football IQ, kind of checks all the boxes, and you just see how much space he commands in the back end. This is kind of why I like him as safety as well. Takes up so much space. Then when that football's in the air, let's go up high point and make a play. Like Steve Miller, I really do like this take, and I think he's kind of, you see the athleticism now playing quarterback. Long speed, absolutely there. I think Steve Miller checks a lot of boxes, and he might be a little bit more of a raw prospect, and I think kind of a slept-on prospect because he plays quarterback and is not kind of pigeonholed himself into one position. But, man, this kid, he does a lot of things that you really like, and you continue to work through the film. You continue to look at him as a boundary corner, undercutting the play. I think that, and you see like the catch radius to length. I mean, what was something we talk about with Eric Gentry. When you drop Eric Gentry back in his own coverage, how long he is, he takes up a lot of throwing windows. You kind of see that with Steve Miller too. Kid super, super long, makes plays on the football. I like this take for USC. Take a look at the 2025 class, 22 commitments, top 10 class in the country. Again, I want to stress the importance of this. Like, Steve Miller's a good player, and I'm not trying to overshadow what Steve Miller can bring to USC. If this helps them land Kevin Wynn, I think this is a massive commitment, because you look at Kevin Wynn, 6'2", 320, really, really athletic for that size, kind of built like a fire hydrant. I would just say this kind of a souped-up Carlin Jones coming out of high school. These are the type of bodies that USC needs if Lincoln Riley is going to have success in the Big Ten. If this helps them land Kevin Wynn, this is a massive commitment for USC. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.